So one of the most common things that new players are confused about in Tower of Adventures has to be the equipment system. Now, while this level of confusion does vary between person to person, that doesn't change the fact that people are still confused about things. This can be the equipment sets themselves, stats, maybe how to get equipment, maybe hidden powers. There's a lot of pieces to the equipment system, and I'm here to teach you about them all. There will be timestamps down below, so if you do want to skip to a specific part of the video, then feel free to do so. But if you're new, I would highly recommend watching the whole video. Now, before you start, I do want to say that if you do end up enjoying, a like and a subscribe would be very appreciated because it not only lets YouTube know that you want to see more content like this, it also helps me out a little bit. But anyways, let's get to the video. Now, at the core of every single equipment system in every single game ever is going to be all of the different stats that make up your character. If you click that little arrow in the top right corner, you can open up your stats menu, which will show all of the stats that your cookie has. Now, what do these stats mean? Well, let's go through them all one by one. Now, the first and generally most important stat is going to be your attack stat. Simply put, attack determines how much damage you do, though that is not always true. A majority of cookies have their damage scaling with attack. You can check this out yourself if you click this little details button and you go to an ability. If it says percentage with nothing else, that means it scales with attack. An example of someone that does not scale with attack is going to be Chamomile Cookie. If we click her details button, it specifies that it does damage based on her max HP. So if it does not say that and it only says a percentage, that percentage is always attack. And as you see, if we go to someone like Rye Cookie, her basic attack just does 88%. What is that 88%? Well, it's attack. Now, while it does seem kind of straightforward, when we are talking about equipment, there are actually two other kinds of attack that we need to talk about. The first kind that you can see is on my Lemon Zest Cookie's unique weapon is going to be Elemental Attack. Now, Elemental Attack is attack that only works for a specific element, but that is not all. But it is also what we call Flat Attack. The amount you are getting here is the amount you are getting, I guess. Why do we need to clarify that? Well, there's another kind of attack that is commonly seen on equipment, and that is going to be attack percent. Now, attack percent works very differently. Instead of it being a flat or set amount of attack, it takes a percentage of your combined base attack and any elemental attack you have, and then adds that onto your total attack. So it's a attack percentage of your attack. Pretty simple. Now, there's obviously more to attack than just that, but those are the two most common kinds of attack, and they both need to exist together because without one, the other one becomes much worse. Now, moving on, we have defense, and defense just reduces the amount of damage you take. Just like attack, it can sometimes, and I do mean sometimes, be used for some other kind of thing, like maybe damage or healing or shielding. But right now, the only cookie in the game that applies to is going to be Honey Bear Cookie, like I showed you earlier. His damage scales off of defense, and his shielding also scales off defense. But in pretty much every other scenario, this just reduces the amount of damage you take. And HP is the amount of damage you can take. When your HP reaches 0, you die. Just like attack and just like defense, it can also be used to scale with things like damage or maybe healing or shielding, but it's a lot less common than attack, but a little bit more common than defense because there are a couple cookies that scale with it. Now, elemental damage is going to just be another damage multiplier, but unlike the previous stats, it works for all damage as long as it matches the element. Now, crit rate, or what some people call crit chance, is going to be the chance of you critting with each hit of your attacks. What does a crit do, or what does a critical hit do? Well, it has another damage multiplier that does even extra damage, which is going to actually be called crit damage. The more crit damage you have, the more damage your critical hits will do, and the more critical hits you do, the more damage you will do overall. Basically, you want to crit unless the character says otherwise. Well, keep in mind that not every character actually wants to build crit rate or crit damage, just pretty much every DPS besides Sting Durian, so don't take what I said very literally. Anyways, moving on, attack speed is going to be the rate at which you attack. As of right now, this isn't actually a stat that is touched a lot on anything, and you can't even really build it. You can't build it. No equipment or artifact or hidden power or anything above can actually increase your attack speed. So maybe in the future. Movement speed, same thing, can't really increase it. Some cookies can, but movement speed is just how fast you move. Now, healing percent and shielding percent are going to increase the amount of healing and shielding you do respectively. But generally, you don't actually want to build these stats because it's just better to get the stat that it actually scales with. So attack if it scales with attack, or HP if it scales with HP, because that also means that your cookie's damage scales with that stat. So it's just better to get a little bit of extra damage with a little bit less healing or shielding because it's more value. But yeah, the increased healing and shielding. Now, buff amplification and debuff amplification, or buff amp and debuff amp, increase the amount of buffing or debuffing your buffs or debuffs do. So for example, Honey Bear Cookie here, his ultimate will reduce enemy elemental resistance by 20%. If you put some debuff amplification on him, like I have here, it will amplify those effects. The same thing applies to Rockstar Cookie, woohoo! He buffs attack, so putting buff amplification on him will buff his attack increase. Basically, buff amplification and debuff amplification are necessary for buffers and debuffers. Defense penetration is going to allow you to penetrate a specific amount of the enemy's defense. So if you have 5% defense penetration, you will penetrate 5% of the enemy's defense. This is a stat that isn't ever used because it does mean you're giving up other stats, which is not worth it. And finally, total damage, just like elemental damage, just increases the amount of damage you do. But this is a lot less available and is only available, to my knowledge, through one specific thing, which we will talk about later. Woohoo! Now you guys understand all of the different stats in Tower of Adventures. Okay, while there are a lot more, especially on the back end of things, this is just the general knowledge you will need in order to understand how to build your cookies. So let's move on to actually understanding equipment. Now, the basics of the equipment system are very simple. You have 4 slots for your equipment: your weapon, your headpiece, your body piece, and your leg piece. Now, the big thing that is unique about these pieces of equipment is that you cannot put a headpiece in your weapon slot, or a weapon in your head slot, or body in your weapon slot. Every single piece of equipment is locked to its certain kind. But besides that, there are 2 other very basic things when it comes to equipment. First of all, every piece of equipment of the specific type will level up a specific stat when you level up the piece of equipment. So if we look at here, the default stat for my weapon is attack percent. Every single weapon in the game, besides maybe 1 or 2, will give attack percent when you go and level it up. If I go to enhance and I level it up, boom, I increase my attack by a little bit. For every single headpiece, it will level up my elemental damage. For every single body piece, it will level up your defense. And for every single leg piece, it will level up your HP. But besides that, every piece of equipment also has a unique ability. Now, unique abilities aren't actually unique, but what makes them different from the default ability is that you actually have to promote the piece of equipment in order to level up your unique ability. If we go here, I cannot increase this crit rate unless I go over to the promote tab, to which I can then feed extra copies of my weapon into it to increase my crit rate. Now, when I do this, I also increase the level cap of my weapon, so I can now level it up to level 24. This is an absolutely crucial thing to do in Tower of Adventures. Promoting equipment is so important because it allows you to level up that default stat further and your unique ability. Now, the final very important thing about equipment, and it's kind of its own thing, is hidden powers. Now, to find hidden powers, you need to just click on your piece of equipment, go over to enhance, and there should be a hidden power section right there. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, what the heck are hidden powers? What do these mean? Like, I have no idea. Well, okay, they're really not that complicated. In other games, hidden powers would be known as substats, except unlike a lot of other popular gacha games, you don't get these by leveling a piece of equipment up. Now, as you see, there is a little plus button that we can click on, and when we click on it, it opens up this menu with materials. Now, these materials are hidden power scrolls and are how you get hidden powers on your pieces of equipment. There are 3 kinds of scrolls. There's your basic scroll, there are your elemental scrolls, and your advanced elemental scrolls. Now, you can actually ignore the basic scrolls because they don't actually mean that much. As for the other 2 kinds, these are the ones that we are talking about. Now, when you want to use an elemental scroll, you first of all have to actually have the scroll, but you also need to have the gold to use the scroll. So I'm going to click this and it will have change power, and boom, we got some hidden powers on this piece of equipment. And if I don't like these, again, I just press the button, and I can choose to keep this one, or I can get the new one. If I want the new one, I click I want the new one, and I can keep doing this as long as I have scrolls and as long as I have the coins to do so. Now, something to note about hidden powers is there are some more layers to this. As you see, there is a rarity next to the hidden power. What does that rarity mean? That rarity actually means the power of the hidden power substat. So if we go over here and we click on this little information button, it pulls up all of the different rarities and minimums and maximums for all of the hidden power stats. I know, this is a lot of information. But basically, there are 5 different rarities, and each rarity has a minimum and a maximum stat that you can achieve with every single kind of hidden power. But if you're a new player, a good rule of thumb is better rarity, better hidden power. Now, that is actually important to bring up because of hidden power levels. As you see, whenever I use a scroll, this little thing below materials will start to level up. And every single time I use a scroll, it puts points into this little level thing. What is this level thing? Well, like I said, hidden power level. Hidden power level is unique between every single piece of equipment. It's a pain in the butt, I know, but this is a very, very, very powerful thing, especially in the late game. What a hidden power level does is as you increase your hidden power levels, you get extra benefits. Hidden power level 1 has no benefits, but hidden power level 2 will eliminate common hidden powers from the hidden power pool, meaning you can no longer get hidden powers. Level 3 will make it so you can no longer get a common or uncommon, and you can only get rare and above. Level 4 makes it so you can only get epic and above, and level 5 unlocks hidden power locking. Basically, higher the hidden power level, the better the rolls you will get. Now, as you see here, my Lemon Zest Cookies weapon is level 5, and I have one of my rolls locked. What this means is I can only roll one of them at a time, which is super duper good, meaning I don't have to gamble to get the 2 perfect rolls. I only have to get 1 at a time, which is so good. Another thing to note is when you have a hidden power 5 piece equipment, if you keep putting scrolls into it, it will actually store your hidden powers, which can then be used on other pieces of equipment to level them up, which is super nice. This is a super expensive process, but trust me, it is obviously so worth it. Now, there's a couple more things to talk about regarding hidden powers before we move on. First of all, what do these elemental scrolls actually mean? Now, all of these elemental scrolls that you see behind me are all a part of their own hidden power set. What that means is when all 4 pieces of equipment have a hidden power from a specific scroll element, you will unlock an extra bonus. As you see right here, if all 4 pieces of my Gingerbread Cookies equipment has the Earth Scroll set put on them, it will unlock the Hidden Tremor set, which will increase his Earth damage and will give him some Earth attack. Going back over to my favorite test subject, Lemon Zest Cookie, as you can see, all 4 pieces of equipment have this light symbol, and when I click on them, this Hidden Radiant set, which is the Light Elemental set, is activated, meaning he is currently getting these buffs. Making sure all of your pieces of equipment on all of your cookies match is just crucial in order to maximizing your power, because without this scroll set, you are missing out on a lot. Now, the last thing is going to be the difference between the purple scrolls, or the epic scrolls, and the super epic scrolls. Now, these super epic scrolls are actually pretty much the same, but there are a few differences. First of all, they provide more hidden power points. As you see, the purple ones only give 10, these give 50. These ones also cost less, are only costing 20,000 coins, while these cost 50,000 coins. But the really big factor is these red scrolls actually have a higher chance for better hidden power rarities at every single level. As you see here at level 5, I have a 70% chance of an epic one and a 30% chance of a super epic one. But for the basic purple scroll, I only have a 5% chance for super epic, which is super low, meaning these advanced scrolls are super duper important. You absolutely do not want to waste all of the red scrolls because they are very scarce when you get into the late stages of the game. Now, a simplified summary of hidden powers is hidden powers are this game's version of substats, and you can unlock them through these elemental scrolls. Elemental scrolls, when used, will give you a random substat. You can choose to keep your current one, apply a new one, and you can keep doing this as long as you have scrolls. Every single elemental scroll besides the basic ones are a part of an elemental scroll set, and when all of your pieces of equipment, all 4 of them, have this elemental scroll set, you will then get an extra bonus. Cool, fantastic, you understand what hidden powers are. I hope you're paying attention. You better been paying attention. Anyways, it's time we move on. Now, something that I forgot to mention is there are 5 different rarities of equipment for both weapons and headwear, bodywear, and legwear. Now for weapons, there are common, uncommon, rare, epic, and unique pieces of equipment. Now unique weapons are this game's version of signature weapons. Basically, these weapons are made to be used on a single character and that character only. When you use a weapon on their specified character, you unlock this tower climber bonus. Now the tower climber bonus is mostly the same for everyone. For pretty much every single damage dealing cookie in the game, you are going to get this total damage bonus, but for some supports, you will get something like buff amplification if they buff, or debuff amplification if they are a debuffer, or sometimes healing done if they are a healer. Basically, you want the unique weapon for your cookie because this is the highest level of equipment you can get for their weapon slot. And while you can use unique weapons on other characters, you will not get the bonus, so not really worth it. Now, for every other piece of equipment for body, head, and leg, you have super epic equipment. Now, super epic equipment is unique in the sense is that they are all a part of a 3 equipment piece set. So unlike unique weapons where they are locked to a specific cookie, you need to have all 3 pieces of this equipment set equipped to your cookie to get its bonus. As you see, there's a fire demon hat, body, and a leg. And if we go down here, the fire demon's raiment set bonus, if you have all 3 pieces equipped, you will get that sweet extra fire damage and fire attack. That's what makes super epic equipment so special, is because this is the late game equipment. This is what you are trying to get on all of your cookies. Now, the other hidden bonus to using unique weapons and super epic equipment is going to be the fact that they have more hidden power slots than every other rarity. Now, epic weapons and epic equipment only have 1 hidden power slot per piece of equipment, but uniques and super epics have 2. So when you go from a full epic equipment set to a unique weapon and 3 pieces of super epic equipment, you are getting double the hidden power slots, which is obviously a very good thing. Basically, you want to have a unique weapon on your cookie along with a full super epic equipment set. Now, before you move on, I do want to point out one final thing when it comes to hidden powers on pieces of equipment. As you should have heard, I stated that there are 8 hidden power slots on a fully unique super epic equipped cookie. Now, if you've ever watched a guide for this game or maybe asked for help in a Discord server or just looked somewhere for information, you will probably notice numbers next to different stats when it comes to hidden powers. Well, those numbers are the amount of hidden power slots you want that stat to take up. I said there are 8. Every single guide will have 8 different hidden power slots allocated to the different stats. Now, for example, if you ever ask someone for help building strawberry emoji, you will always see people say 5 crit rate, 3 crit damage. Well, that just means out of these 8 hidden power slots, you want to see 5 of them have crit rate as I do here, and 3 of them have crit damage as I do here. A lot of people get a little confused when it comes to that, so I hope that helps clear that up. Now moving on, let's explain every single one of these super epic sets. Now, I know a lot of people do not like to read and maybe struggle to understand why some of these sets are good on specific cookies, so let me help you understand what they do. Now, there are 19 different equipment sets, so it might be kind of hard to remember what they all do, so hopefully this section of the video helps you with that. Now, the first equipment set that I want to talk about is actually a 6-in-1 equipment set, or it's actually 6 equipment sets that are all grouped up together. Now, as you see, there is an equipment set for every single element. You have the fire set, the water set, the wind set, the earth set, the light set, and the dark set. These are collectively called the elemental sets. Now, these are going to be very basic sets for early game. They provide some elemental damage and elemental attack, but they aren't really considered good because the amount of stats they provide are low. These are only ever used as just base stand-in sets in case you are trying to build a cookie but don't have their best equipment set, but they are sometimes used on some cookies in Infinite Labyrinth, like Cherry Cookie and Dark Choco Cookie, who often run their elemental sets of fire and dark, but it is usually only in that game mode. These sets aren't bad per se, but they just provide low amounts of stats, so they're generally not worth building. Now, the next basic set is going to be the Sugar Feather set. Now, unlike the other ones, this set is not great, but for a different reason. Now, unlike the elemental sets, this has an actual passive. Every single basic attack has a chance to do extra damage. It also has defense penetration on, I believe, the legs of the set, so that does kind of make it unique since defense penetration is kind of rare. Unfortunately, there are just better equipment sets nowadays. This was good at the beginning of the game and is definitely an okay set if you are still newer, but generally not a best in slot set. But if you have a set of this and you are still very new, you can put this on cookies like lemon zest, jalapeno, kohlrabi, ice mint, or chili cookie, as they all do attack a lot with their basic attacks. But again, that is not their best set, so do not think it is, please. Well, actually, for chili pepper it might be, but that's it. Now let's move on to the actual usable sets. For the first important equipment set we have, it is going to be Suspicious Hunter, which is the basic attack oriented set. This equipment set's passive increases your basic attack for 15 seconds after using a special skill. This makes it good for cookies like jalapeno, lemon zest, basil pesto, and cream soda, who all rely on their basic attacks to do a majority of their damage. Next up, we have the special version of this set, which increases special skill damage after using a dash. This set sucks. It's usually hard to explain to people why this set is bad, but basically you need to spam your dash off cooldown in order to maintain the effects of this set, so that's not good. While in theory this should be good for DPS like Strawberry Mochi and Sundae, who rely on their special skills, because you have to constantly be dashing, otherwise you do not get the effects for the set, just makes it kind of awful. Right now the only cookie in the game that currently uses this set is going to be Plantain Cookie in Infinite Labyrinth only. Let's make that very clear. Basically, this set could be good in the future if they decide to buff it or rework it to actually be able to be used by special skill oriented DPS. But for now, it's just not that good. If there's basic attacks and special skills, there's ultimates. So our ultimate-oriented equipment set is going to be Memory Shard, which increases ultimate damage after using a special skill, and you can do this twice to get the maximum effect. Now, right now, the only ultimate-oriented cookie in the game is Sugar Globe, so she is the current only user of this set. But kind of like Forgotten Hero and Plantain, you can put this on some cookies in Infinite Labyrinth to make their ultimates do more damage. But as it goes for actual usage, this set is only used on Sugar Globe. Now we have two more DPS equipment sets that matter. The first one is going to be Mysterious Wanderer. Now Mysterious Wanderer is kind of unique. Every 6 direct hits, you will deal basically half of your attack as additional damage. This is basically for cookies who do not specialize in one of the other kinds of damage, so basic attack damage, special skill damage, or ultimate damage, but they actually attack a ton of times. This currently only includes cookies like Ice Mint, Kohlrabi, and Rye Cookie, because they all have pretty balanced damage across the board, but they attack a ton of times, meaning they can use this set very well. Now, the final equipment set is going to be the TBD Uniform / Sugar Land set. These are the exact same set that do the exact same thing, and this set is going to be good for cookies that do not specialize in any of the other kinds of damage that we talked about earlier, so basic attacks, special skills, or ultimates, but they cannot use Mysterious Wanderer because they do not attack enough, or because they don't have a good option like Strawberry Mochi and Sundae, who can't use Forgotten Hero because Forgotten Hero sucks. But basically this set just provides a ton of attack after attacking an elemental tag. While that might seem like a bad activation condition, pretty much any team comp is going to have an elemental tagger in it or a cookie that can apply a tag, so this condition is more so just free extra attack. Some of the cookies that this is used on include Frost Rot Cookie, Sting Durian Cookie, and Dark Choco Cookie, who just want this set because that is their best set, but cookies like Strawberry Mochi and Sundae use this set because they cannot utilize something like Forgotten Hero because it sucks, but yeah. This is actually a set that can technically be used on any DPS because it does provide good enough stats, but other DPS just have their other better options. Now let's move on to all non-DPS sets. Now the first set is going to be one of the harder sets to obtain in the game, which is going to be the Priest of Purity set, and to put it lightly, this set sucks. As you can see, it just gives a bunch of HP, and then also healing and shielding strength, which is just useless for a game like Tower of Adventures. In this game, you usually want to maximize your damage and not necessarily your survivability, but even on the survivability end, it's not that good because it splits its power between strength and healing, and also not all healers are HP scalers, so giving it HP is kind of not the best. This set is hard to obtain because you can only use it with a special currency that is very rare, but yeah, don't worry about the set. Now, the proper healing set is going to be the Eminent Herbalist set, and this set is only used by one cookie, Chamomile. And that's only sometimes because the set still is not that good. Pretty much it turns 30% of your healing into attack for allies, and it also increases your own healing. While it seems okay in theory, it's just an okay-ish set. The attack increase isn't amazing, and it's kind of inconsistent with the healing, especially if your allies are at full HP, you just are not getting that set bonus. And again, going for buffing sets is just better. I mean, I know this is a buffing set, but there's better sets than this that buff, so we'll talk about that later. Now, the shielding version is actually okay, Still worse than the dedicated buffing and debuffing sets, but it's alright. While the equipped cookie is shielded, it will reduce enemies' elemental resistance and increase ally elemental damage, and it also increases shield strength. This set can pretty much be used on any shielder as a replacement set. Pretty much you can just throw this on someone if you don't have a proper debuffing set yet, which again we will talk about in a little bit, but this is an alright set and is definitely better than Eminent Herbalist. Now we can finally talk about sets that are actually worth talking about, and the first one will be Golden Finery, which is only usable on taggers. This set increases elemental tag damage. Now it says elemental burst damage, but keep in mind elemental burst damage in this game is elemental tag damage, which is damage done by taggers' elemental tags. Now that damage only applies if the cookie equipped is a tagger and is applying the tag, which is why this is only for taggers. This can pretty much be used on any tagger, but right now it's only best in slot on Candy Drop Cookie and Marbleberry Cookie, who do not need to use any other set. But for every other tagger, this can work as a replacement for your actual best sets. Now the next set just recently got kind of reworked, and that will be the Ghost Captain set, which reduces enemies' defense after using a special skill. And it also increases the equipped cookie's elemental damage. Now this set is actually pretty decent, but it's not really used a lot, at least for current cookies, but this can definitely be used in the future. But it's important to note that it is only one of two ways that you can actually reduce enemies' defense, making it kind of decent and honestly kind of niche. And this set could honestly be used in the future. It just depends how the meta plays out. Now the final two sets are the same thing, but for two different kinds of buffs/debuffs. First of all, we have the Falling Stars set, and then the Magician set. Now they both activate after using your ultimate. Whenever you use your ultimate, Falling Stars will reduce enemies' elemental resistance, and Eternal Magician will buff your allies' elemental damage. But they also provide their respective stats, so Falling Stars will provide debuff amplification, and Eternal Magician will provide buff amplification. Ideally, this is what you want on all of your supports. If they debuff, they want Falling Stars, and if they buff, they want Eternal Magician. You kind of just gotta look and see. But something that's important to note is that the effects of these sets is only for the element that the equipped cookie is. So if you have a Fire Cookie with Eternal Magician, this increased elemental damage will only be for fire cookies. And if you put a water cookie on the Fallen Star set, the elemental resistance that is shredded will only be for water type cookies. But generally, like I said, you want these on your supports. Now, for some reason, I can't actually see these in the index, but there are these three event sets. There's the Masquerade set, the Idol set, and the Baker set. Now, some people will ask if these sets are worth using, and I just gotta say that no, they are not. These sets are going to be very good if you are very new to the game, but these are just worse versions of sets we have already talked about. The Masquerade set is pretty much just an elemental set with rare hidden powers. The Idol set is just a worse version of Golden Finery, which is the Tagger set, and the Baker set is just a worse version of both Magician and Regalia. And the Baker set is just a worse version of Magician that can also provide debuff amp. Now that you understand what every single equipment set does, let's figure out how to actually obtain them. So first of all, a very easy way to get the basic elemental sets is going to be through the cookie training. Now every single cookie training on their track will provide the elemental set that matches their element. So all the light cookies will give you the Solar Knight set, all the fire cookies give you the Fire Demon set, etc, etc. While these sets are really only good for beginners, it is still a way to obtain them. But the actual big way to obtain equipment is going to be through raids. Now raids are going to be your one-stop shop for literally everything that involves equipment besides hidden powers. As you can see, through the raids you get a chest, which will grant you all kinds of things. There's these skill powders that you can use to level up your equipment. You can get these shards, which can allow you to craft a random piece of equipment. You can also get a random unique weapon or a random super epic piece of equipment. And you can also obtain schematics, which you can use to craft specific pieces of equipment. Essentially, you need to do all 5 of your raids every day if you want to actually obtain equipment. If you've been playing the game for a while and you're like, wow, why do I have no equipment? You need to check in with yourself and make sure you've been doing raids, because if you haven't been, don't be surprised that you don't have a lot of equipment. So make sure you do all of your raids daily. Now there are some additional ways that you can get equipment. One of my favorite ways is through the guild shop, which resets monthly, where you can actually buy equipment with guild coins. If we go over and click the guild shop button, which is in the bottom left corner, it opens up the shop and you can actually buy super epic and unique equipment bundles along with a super epic select chest. You can even buy schematics for all the different kinds of equipment, and there's even a unique choice chest, which I already bought for this month. This is a great place to get equipment, but you do need to be in a guild, which is something that you should already be doing. Now, another way you can obtain equipment is through the Champion Raid shop. Now, the Champion Raid shop has a bunch of things you can buy, and one of those things is a super epic choice chest. Now, this place used to have a lot more equipment available, but you can still get that super epic choice chest, which will be very good if you're new to the game and still trying to round out your gear. Now, if you're new to the game, another really good place is actually going to be the Tower Relay. As you see here, there are clear rewards that will give you a free TBD set, and I believe the other difficulties give some as well. You can see there's Golden Refinery right here. Over to Hard, there are some other bundles, maybe no specifics. There's Falling Stars, and there's even a unique choice chest. Doing Tower Relay is a guaranteed way to get some equipment, and if you are able to do it, I would absolutely make sure to do it. Now, another great place to get specific pieces of equipment is going to be through the workshop. If you click the 3 lines up here and you go to workshop, you can actually craft your own equipment as long as you have the materials. Now, as you do different things in the game, you will earn different schematics. As you see, there's weapon schematics, there's headwear schematics, bodywear schematics, and legwear schematics. Now, with these and with these little pieces, these triangle pieces, you can craft whatever equipment you want. While there is a crafting limit per cycle, this is a very good way to get these specific equipment pieces you need. But again, to get schematics, you do have to actually play the game, like do your raids, and you can get them from various game modes as rewards. Now, the final way I want to mention is going to be in the events tab. If you click on the events tab and you scroll down, you are going to see the Mystic Laboratory event. Now, this is a way you can transform 2 useless pieces of equipment into a good piece of equipment. If I go ahead and click here, as you see, I have 6 of these little red cauldrons, which will allow me to combine 12 pieces of equipment to craft 6 pieces that I want. Let's say I want to craft a Priest of Purity. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to select it, and then I can go ahead and select 2 pieces of equipment that I want to get rid of. Boom, boom, and it will use one of my 6 cauldrons to craft it. Let's go ahead, fly it, and now I have a Priest of Purity headwear that I don't actually need. But you can do that for any equipment. I would highly recommend just saving your elemental sets for that, especially if you are starting to get to the mid game where you're getting more of those better DPS sets. It's a very good way to not trash all your equipment, but put it to good use. And there's also ones for unique weapons, but those cauldrons are a little more rare. You just collect everything from doing the missions here, which you'll complete them by just playing the game, so don't worry about it too much. So I might have forgotten 1 or 2 ways to get equipment, but those are all the really important ones that you definitely need to keep in mind. Now, the final thing is hidden power scrolls, which might be kind of confusing to a lot of people, especially how to get them. Now, there are raids for equipment, so there are the Tower Rift for the hidden power scrolls. You can do this twice daily, and make sure you're doing that twice daily because this is going to be your primary source of scrolls. Also, make sure that if it's possible, you challenge the 8th stage so you get those best rewards. Now, some other ways you can get scrolls. Once again, through the guild shop, there are a bunch of scrolls available here for guild coins. There's advanced scrolls and basic scrolls. Just a great place overall to pretty much get anything. You can also get scrolls through Tower Relay. As you see on this track, there are just a bunch of scrolls here. Pretty much everything in this game does actually give scrolls, especially if it's like scrolls in this game are the one reward that you're given if the game has literally nothing else to give you. Probably if I go to the Sweet Sugarland shop, I can exchange some stuff for scrolls. Let's go down, boom, scrolls of potential. I can buy them right here. Basically, if there is something in the game that they just need to give you something, you can probably find these here. But yeah, just make sure you are doing those tower rifts daily. But I guess a final way you can actually get scrolls reliably is going to be through the workshop, because you can actually craft advanced scrolls by using basic scrolls or the basic elemental scrolls. You can craft 30 advanced scrolls every refresh, so make sure you are taking advantage of that, because this will be the easiest way to obtain specific advanced scrolls, because advanced scrolls are very rare. And seriously, when you get to the late game, these are like a very good reward. So yeah, make sure you are using this every refresh just so you are not wasting it. So that's everything. If you guys still have any questions, make sure to comment down below and I will definitely make sure to respond to them. And if you enjoyed, a like and subscribe would be very appreciated. Anywho, I will see you all next time. Bye!